Hi, I'm Cassidy. I'm an information addict, and this is the Information Addicts podcast. I have been doing this little project here on YouTube for about 4 years now, and it has not always been consistently, but it has been constantly 4 years where I have been able to upload something and think about what I do here in this project and kind of wrestle with this idea of information and how we consume it and how it forms our beliefs and all of those things. And it's been lovely and beautiful, and I'm very happy that I've done it. But as I was pondering the idea of coming back to create on YouTube, this project definitely got put on the chopping block. I always said that I would only keep doing this as long as it serviced my life and myself. And when you change your life completely, you become a wife and a mother, and your life really isn't your own anymore. It makes you think more intentionally about the things that you do and what you create. And not that I didn't think intentionally about what I created before, but it's a different type of intentionality. And so I really wondered, is this a good thing to keep doing? Because as much as I loved it, and as much as I do think that it's been helpful for me in processing a lot of things, I also know that there's a huge pitfall to it. By going online, talking about ideas, and creating in this YouTube space, it opens you up to getting stuck in those ideas and consuming more and losing sight of what's really important. And I was a little afraid that if I kept going, it might just go deeper and deeper into that. But at the same time, I knew that while I was looking to create again, I was in this weird, funky consumption cycle that I really wasn't happy with. And it wasn't consuming the way that I used to, where it was like ideas, information. It often was a lot more lighthearted things, television, light-hearted creations on YouTube, and even some odd creations on YouTube that I just didn't quite understand, and I was studying the format to understand what was going on. But anyways, it was this sort of overconsumption that came from being home a lot with a baby and having to breastfeed 480 hours a week. And so I thought, well, it's kind of silly to shut down the project that is supposed to help you with consumption patterns when you're in a really funky one to begin with. So I was kind of torn and trying to figure out, well, how do I best move forward with it? And as I was kind of processing all of these things, I've been reading this book, Everyday Saints. It's basically a book of stories and things from a Russian monk about other monastics and people in the Orthodox faith and monasteries. And it's very interesting and very enlightening, definitely challenging for a modern person like myself and someone new to the faith. But I've been really enjoying it and challenged by it. But it's not really actually about this book what's important. It's actually this little bookmark that's been sitting in its pages. I don't know exactly where I got this. I believe it was from my husband's godfather, but it will always remain a bit of a mystery. But for whatever reason, this little guy has been sitting in the pages of these books, saving spots and marking stories. And I realized I didn't know who he was. And so I looked him up. It's Saint Silouan. And when I did that, I came across a web page that brought me to a bit of his life story. And basically, it seems as though he was pretty simple monk, kind of quietly did his monastic duties, but he had some writings that became very popular. And so that's how he's sort of known in church history. But there was something really interesting on the page as I was reading through his story. And it talked very specifically about information and how as modern people, we are flooded with this sea of information about science, ideas, and culture, and how it distracts us from a true connection with God. And the real path we should be looking for is one of simplicity. And I recognize that not all people who watch my videos are a part of a faith tradition or have any interest in that at all. But for myself, I am part of a faith tradition, and it rang true for me that sometimes the way that we consume and the way that we put weight on the information that comes at us makes it hard to actually live a good embodied life and understand the place that information has in our lives. And I think for myself, I want to move towards a path that is moving more towards simplicity. And if I'm honest, I don't exactly know what that means. I just felt like I needed to share it before I kept sharing more conversations and, monologues or whatever this ends up shaping to be as the year goes on and as it continues. But whatever this is going forward, I do think there is something important to incorporating this idea of simplicity within our consumption that I want to be more focused in. And I don't think I always had that intent every time I've come here and put myself on the screen and talked about ideas. I mean, I've certainly talked a lot about how I am, in many ways, a simple person, in the sense that I'm not studied in theology or really anything that gives me credence to talk very authoritatively about big ideas. But I do find them interesting, and I do find them helpful. And I do find that understanding ideas through people helps me understand the people that I care about better. And, in some ways that's complex. People are so complex, but it's so simple in that recognition of grounding that in the personal and the people and, the everyday stories of the people we see along the way. And so, I guess what I'm really trying to say in my long, rambly, rabbit trail sort of way is that I will be continuing to create this, and I do have some conversations that will come out in this sort of format in talking about information and ideas. But I hope that going forward, I don't lose that sense of simplicity in it. Because if I lose the simplicity, I lose the narrative. I really think I lose the narrative. And it might seem foolish to lean on simplicity in a time where everybody's asking for more complexity and more detail. But I just have this trust that trying to find that path of simplicity through it is going to lead to something good. So if you want to pull that thread with me, I'm happy to have you. Hopefully we don't end this thing with a bear sweater, but I think that, I don't know, I just think that reframing is going to really help me feel like I can tackle this in a more honest way, in a way that's going to produce something that is much more healthy for myself, for my family, and probably all the people who are sitting and watching this. So that's all I have for today. As always, I will close the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.